Hey folks, Papa Boris here with what is this now, the 8th? Is this the 8th game? 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, the 8th game to finish of the Champions First Cup, a Leaders Tournament. This was the most special game in the tournament for me. Win or lose, I'm not spoiling the ending, because my opponent was not only ridiculously high rated, but also this is the developer of the game. And he actually sent me a message on Board Game Arena, and I have to admit I was really, really starstruck, and it was very exciting to talk to him a little bit. So I was very excited just to have a chance to play with him. And as the first player, I do get a pretty lucky start here. I get to draft the Royal Guard, which is obviously very nice. My opponent now has the Vizier and the Claw Launcher, so he also gets a pretty nice start. He moves his leader. He drafts the Claw here. And at this point, he decides to grab the Jailer. So maybe he doesn't like the Vizier as much as I do. I would have definitely taken the Vizier in that spot. But the Jailer makes some sense. It can stop the Royal Guard from teleporting backwards, and just in general, it can often be a really critical piece depending on what happens later in the draft, like if I get this Acrobat, for example. So I decide to move up with my leader. I decide, hey, I'm maybe playing against a 600 ELO rated player and the developer of the game, but let's not play any differently. This is what I would do against anyone, so let's do it here. And of course, then I decide to grab the Acrobat. So my thinking is that with this, I can, move my leader and my Royal Guard back a little bit and get a big jump. And then this way, there's like a variety of ways I can do the jump. I can put my leader here and the Royal Guard here and jump there, or the leader here and jump there. I could even summon the Royal Guard and do that, although that's a little bit weird. So there's just a variety of jumps, and I was trying to be as annoying as possible. Now here, my opponent made a very interesting move after moving up with his Claw and his Jailer and his leader. He actually took the Assassin, and I'm not sure if he just really likes the Assassin or if this was a moment of whimsy. I think most people would take the Vizier here because it's a very strong character, and the Assassin is widely considered not that strong. We did have a chat, and he asked me what characters I liked, and I told him that of the considered weak characters, I kind of have a soft spot for the Assassin. As you may know, if you've watched my channel, I made a whole video about it. And he said he liked the Assassin as well. So either he just likes the Assassin and took it because it is sort of a counter to the Vizier. If you can cut off the leader, it doesn't matter if the leader can move twice. Maybe he just thinks the Assassin's a strong character, or maybe he doesn't like the Vizier, like we saw him take the Jailer over the Vizier, or maybe it was just a little bit of a whimsical decision based on our conversation. But regardless, I was very glad that he took the Assassin because I'm very happy to have the Vizier here. I am now in lane with the Claw. So unfortunately, I don't get to do a very spicy jump with the Acrobat, and I probably should have seen that coming. But I decided to do a small hop. It's actually not really a hop because the Acrobat could have moved here normally if I had just drafted him there. So a little bit of a lackluster Acrobat start. Nice use of the Claw here to make forward progress and also counter my possible jumps. I moved the Royal Guard in to get it away from the Jailer. I'm not sure that makes a whole lot of sense because the Jailer wants to go here anyways to get closer to my leader, so I'm not really sure what the point of the Royal Guard there is. But in any case, I'm going to grab the Vizier, so now I kind of have the Royal Guard Acrobat on this side, maybe the Vizier coming from the other side, and my opponent gets the Rider. Now, of all the characters in the world, this isn't like the one I was the most unhappy to see. Because, most of what's left on the deck is pretty good stuff at this point. There's a Bruiser in there, there's a Hermit and Cub in there, there's still an Illusionist in there, so it's not like I could really expect with the Assassin and the Nemesis and Manipulator all being out that, something really bad would show up here. It's pretty much just the Archer or the Protector that would have been kind of weak draws, but he is going to get, for his final draft, a nice mobile character. Keeps coming with the Assassin and the Claw, steps in with the Jailer very predictably, changes his mind about it, moves the leader, and then still puts the Jailer there, and then, of course, he's going to grab the Rider. So now he's got the Claw threatening my leader, the Jailer is coming at me, the Assassin, it's kind of unclear how I'm going to dodge him, and then the Rider's coming over here if I do step away from the Assassin, and I also have an Archer, so I draft a little bit of a brick here, obviously like Hermit and Cub to counter the Assassin, or the Bruiser for some inevitability, or the Illusionist. Any of those would have been really nice draws, but I get an Archer, or a Manipulator to pick from. I decide to step up with the Vizier, get my leader further away from the Claw and the Assassin, step up with the Acrobat just normally, and then I do take the Manipulator, and I don't know, it's tough to say if this was a good choice or not. I think the Archer, since I already have a piece really close to the leader, might have been better. I've just generally been really underwhelmed by the Manipulator. On the other hand, the Manipulator does give me some board control in a way the Archer does not. It might let me peel off the Jailer at a critical moment, and at the time, I think I probably just valued maybe having some trickery in my pocket over a potentially slower strategy of walking the archer in and hoping that my coke-fueled leader could zip around my enemy's pieces long enough for the archer to complete his journey, or complete her journey. All right, so now the draft is over and the game begins. My opponent steps up with the claw, puts the jailer there to stop my acrobat from doing any acrobatics, keeps going with the assassin, so the claw is reserving the spot for the assassin to keep walking around this way. The assassin can kind of follow the claw around because I don't actually have a piece that can block this square. And the leader cannot go here because then the assassin does do checkmate. And of course, even if the assassin were a normal piece, the claw could step down, the assassin could still do checkmate, so there's no aggressive blockages there. He also, of course, rides in with the rider and tucks the leader away for further safety. So honestly, considering I'm playing against, I think he's like, at the time, the second highest rated player in the game and also the person who made the game, honestly, I wasn't that unhappy with how this was going. I don't really see how I'm going to checkmate him. He's completely safe. The acrobat can't jump over this wall. I only have the royal guard here. But I do have the vizier that will buy me some time. And it's a game, which is more than I can say for some of my games against the other lower rated people that I had played in this tournament. I was very, very happy to be surviving this well with all the pieces drafted against such a strong player. All right, so it's my turn. What exactly am I going to do here? Well, I step up with the vizier. I think that's pretty logical. I tuck the leader behind for safety. I think that's very reasonable. And I step up with the manipulator. I don't care if he claws me forward. That may even be a good thing, so I don't mind being in line with the claw. Then I just pass. I think that my royal guard and my acrobat are in good spots. The acrobat is making it annoying for the assassin to step in. If the assassin wants to go out this way, the jailer either has to kind of back off of my leader or get off of my royal guard. And I kind of wanted to just leave these pieces here and see what he did with his leader, because if he moves his leader this way, then my leader could maybe zip around and try to be a checkmating piece, or the vizier could get close. And if he goes this way, admittedly, I don't really know how I'm going to win this game, but I generally like it when my opponent gets their leader stuck in one of the vertices of the hexagon, if they get stuck in the corner, because then that gives them less flexibility in the future, and it makes it a little bit easier for your pieces to close in and commit checkmate. So he does decide to move his claw, and then that's it. So he doesn't follow with the assassin. Maybe he's waiting for me to move with the acrobat so he can put the assassin in a more centralized square, or maybe he's just kind of playing a wait-and-see sort of game here. So he just moves the claw, and that's all. So now the ball's back in my court. Both of us kind of took some waiting moves, and now what am I going to do? Well, I step up with the manipulator. I think that makes sense. It stops him from pulling his rider and doing any kind of shenanigans like that. It gets my piece closer to the middle of the board. This is basically a vanilla piece at this point, but I feel like it's better here than it is here, and it wasn't really doing anything from here anyways. I also step up with the vizier, start working my acrobat around, change my mind, and I zip over with the leader and pass. So I thought about moving the acrobat, but I figured, you know what? The logic still holds. If I still want to just kind of keep this here, then I wait for him to box himself into the corner and then try to step around, or if he runs the other way, then I'll follow. But it didn't seem worth it to move this just yet. And the manipulator is actually very important here because it's blocking checkmate, because obviously if the manipulator weren't here, the rider could step aside, and he could claw over my leader and bring in the jailer to win the game. So now I was very curious what he would do. We're playing very cat and mouse gameplay here. There's kind of like a long-running strategy that maybe with my vizier, I can actually bring my leader around here in this spot to checkmate. So we're kind of doing a waiting game where neither of us is doing anything, but I have a theoretical way that I could actually win. So it's like maybe my opponent has a bit more of an impetus to have to actually do something about the situation. It's worth noting that if this was an archer, I could just be heading for this square, and obviously the jailer could block it, but then the acrobat can jump, so the archer may have actually been a more significant piece than the manipulator. My opponent moves up with the jailer, steps back with the claw, steps in with the assassin where the jailer used to be, and then steps up with the rider, which all makes sense, because if I am going to try to zip around with the leader, then getting the assassin here to cut him off would actually make a lot of sense. So now it's my turn, and I keep going for it. I move up here with the leader, though not without some misgivings. It's a little bit scary to do this, playing Ring Around the Rosie on your opponent's rider with the assassin just, a hex away from killing you. But it was safe. One nice thing is that the claw is the only, tricky piece that he has. these pieces, I mean, the rider can move 2 squares, but these pieces don't manipulate the board. So it's fairly easy to make sure that you can't lose. And I figured, okay, I can't lose if I go here. So I'm still threatening checkmate with my leader eventually. I put the vizier here. I'm not sure why here as opposed to here. Let me see if my subsequent move sheds light on that. Nope, it doesn't really shed any light on it. I'm not sure why I put the vizier here instead of here. Oh, I think I had a reason at the time. Oh, yes, maybe it's to stop the rider from coming back and being a defensive piece. Right, that must be it. Because now I'm threatening checkmate. This is not the greatest illustration of how to use the acrobat. I have a game against an opponent later who just really puts on a clinic for amazing acrobat usage, but you're seeing a light version of it here, where the idea is that when you have the acrobat, you want to reserve the spaces that you want your acrobat to jump to. Because my royal guard is here, my opponent literally cannot stop me from jumping here next turn. If he puts a piece here, I jump over it and move my royal guard out of the way. If he doesn't put a piece here, I move my guard out of the way, and I put the manipulator here, and then I jump over. Crucially, the jailer from here cannot stop my acrobat from jumping. It's very, very important that my acrobat not be stopped from doing the jump. And so now I thought I was threatening a pretty good checkmate, because if the leader goes here, then my royal guard steps here or here, and the acrobat jumps here, and I win. And again, there's literally no way for my opponent to stop my acrobat from jumping here. If the leader stays put, the royal guard goes here, acrobat jumps here and wins, and he cannot put a piece here. There's no way to stop it. And then with this vizier blocking the rider business, maybe it wasn't strictly speaking necessary, but if my vizier were here, the leader could have gone here, assassin goes here, rider goes here, and then my opponent actually delays losing. But with the rider not being able to go here, if my opponent goes here, then the royal guard and the vizier simply do checkmate, and so could my leader for that matter. So I didn't see a way for my opponent to actually stop the checkmate from happening. He moves his jailer, pulls the jailer in with the claw, and that's how you stop checkmate. I completely missed that. So it was very, very clever here. He used the jailer's move and the claw's ability to yoink the jailer next to my acrobat, thus stopping me from jumping. And now he put the assassin over here just basically for offense. The assassin wasn't really doing much for defense, so moving it in to make it be more threatening makes sense. Also, if he did put the assassin here, there is this weird situation where his pieces are so far out of the way, the assassin, jailer, and claw, that I can just now, again, just give chase with my leader. From here, if the assassin were here, I could actually have put my leader right there, and it would have been safe because the rider can't get to my leader, and I'm really threatening checkmate and he can't stop it. So the assassin's cutting off my leader. It's not just threatening to win, but it's also stopping my leader from moving close and delivering checkmate. He also steps off with the rider. I'm not sure why. Maybe there was some claw shenanigans that he could do. Or maybe he thought, well, it doesn't really matter if my opponent moves away because the rider can always ride back. If I go here, I mean, I lose because I can't stop the assassin from assassinating me unless I pull my royal guard off. So maybe he just thought that with the rider's active ability, it didn't matter where it was. Maybe he just didn't want it to be in line with the manipulator. So I'm not exactly sure why he did that. That was a bit mysterious to me, but that was the end of his turn. And so now because the acrobat can't jump, I can't checkmate. And I have to be careful with the assassin, but I do have a pretty easy move here. I zip over with my leader and I just put the vizier to block the assassin. Now his leader cannot stand here, not that he would want to. If his rider were still here, or here, or here, it wouldn't change anything. The rider could get in, but then the leader is not allowed to go here. Even if it would be checkmate, even if it would be suffocating, his leader is not allowed to move into this spot because this spot is adjacent to 2 enemy pieces. Okay, so now I am threatening checkmate with my leader. And I thought about it some more and I realized there was nothing wrong with putting my manipulator here. So my acrobat still can't jump, but now the manipulator is just a very threatening piece. And this time I just didn't see how he was going to stop the checkmate. He didn't see a way either. And so I actually got to checkmate the designer of the game and a very, very strong player in his own right with my leader. So definitely this was going to be the most special game of the tournament no matter what, but it was an extra special game because I actually managed to win it. It was really crazy. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.